How you doing?
Fine, thanks. Just starting the day over here.
Alex, it's a great pleasure having you today on the interview. And we are running this symposium, Being Human with Algorithms, Menschsein mit Algorithmen, as you know. And you are really a perfect fit for the interview because I know you as a very digital person in the personal life. And also you're running a digital business and even coordinating multiple digital businesses all over the world. And yeah, it's a great pleasure having you here. So maybe you can briefly present yourself to our audience today.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for counting on me. It's a great pleasure to reconnect after all these years. So my name is Àlex. I'm from Barcelona. I run a software development consultancy. It's called Marsbased, which I co-founded 4 years and a half ago with my two best friends. And we develop applications and IT projects for other companies based on Ruby on Rails and JavaScript. Besides that, I'm the regional director for Startup Grind, which is the largest community for entrepreneurs worldwide, where we host monthly events for entrepreneurs in 400 cities and over 125 different countries to inspire, connect, and educate entrepreneurs. And here, Barcelona is one of the best chapters we've got. We've got like a monthly event with some of the best entrepreneurs and investors worldwide, and we also host a yearly conference.
Wow, cool. And I'm also happy to see that as I worked with you as a student, to see how you found your way in doing exactly what you wanted to do. So it's really great to see. So with all this cool business going on, you're definitely experiencing this digital transformation on a daily basis. So what are the most important or most striking effects of the digital transformation that you perceive in your daily life?
Well, for one, in our company, as I said, we develop products for other companies, right? A big percentage of the products we develop are, so to speak, digital transformation products, as in some processes that they have been performing manually and logically, and they want to somehow automate, speed up, or to improve them, right? So all these products definitely they need to have an impact on their business. So we try to focus on the excellence of the development of the product, but also we make that sure that these products can have an impact on the business, as in improving the KPIs or performance-wise or speed-wise, or conversion in case we're developing, marketing tools or marketing campaign tools, or other. We take a look very seriously at the performance of the products, not only on the technical side, but also on the business side.
And so this is the fully digital life, I would say. So could you have imagined founding Marsbased 15 years ago? So would that have been possible?
Being an entrepreneur and a business owner was never my dream. I always said that I wanted to work for Google every time somebody asked me this question. So I don't know, 15 years ago, me personally, I think I was not even in university. I was not even in university. So I couldn't imagine that. I sort of freelanced a little bit before going to university and throughout my years in the university, just to raise some money so that I could save up, and that's definitely what allowed me to spend almost 2 years in Germany. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it solely on the Erasmus grant, right? Yeah. So that's why I worked back then. It would have been great, and I think there were definitely some tools to do it, but the way we would have created the company would have been completely different, or I would say significantly different, because our company is 100% remote, right? Yeah. And it's got no office. It's an officeless company. That means that our team is distributed around the globe. Quite modestly, they're only in Spain right now, but we've had people working from Belgium, for 1 year. Some people working from Mexico. I myself travel all the time, so I work from Germany or San Francisco, whatever. So 15 years ago, with the broadband was not so spread in Spain, and collaboration tools there were chats, obviously. There was IRC, there was Messenger, there was also Skype, but tools like Basecamp or Trello or even GitHub, they were not around back then. So definitely developing remotely 100%. It was there. It was definitely possible because there were teams doing it.
Yeah.
Like telework was something that some companies already had implemented, like HP, for instance, right, or IBM. But they were super pioneering in a very early stage. It was way more complicated.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to develop probably as efficiently as we do today because some things are just one click away.
Yeah, and so you already started like going into the into two aspects that are very interesting. So first, having a totally digital team. So you're also writing this blog that I'm sometimes following that is very interesting, and on the other hand, like having tools that tie everything together. And so maybe let's stick with the tools first because they are probably one of the things that keeps the team together. So what would you say is the most important tool that you use today? And maybe also describe what it does because maybe some in our audience don't know the tool.
Yeah, we're using about like 15 different tools, right? We use a lot of SaaS, and so software as a service, which back in the day was not so popular. It was very rare, right? I'm talking about tools like Trello, GitHub, and things like that, or Basecamp, or video chat platforms like Appear, or Hangouts. So the thing is, with the tools, I would highlight a couple of them. First one, obviously, being GitHub, which is where we store our code repositories, where our developers, when they develop, they just push they take the code there, they just comment it there, document it, they organize the projects, we sort of coordinate the technical aspects of the task management and the project management. We do it through GitHub, right? I failed to remember when was it founded, but it's been around for a while, and it's sort of become one of the standards in the industry, right? It runs on these. Runs on Git. There are a couple of competitors like GitLab and Bitbucket, but most of the projects we use GitHub. And definitely without this, well, we would be using one of the competitors, but if none of the three were around, it would be much more complicated. We would have to revert back to SPN and things like that we used back in the day.
And
or FTP.
And so and this is like on the work side, like on the work side. So this is like your product is software, and so of course you have to like collaborate in developing the software. And the most interesting thing for me is always, because I'm doing that on a daily basis, like bringing people together, making them communicate. And so how do you establish that? So what is running on your employees' desktops? What is running on your desktop? Which kind of software are you using there, and which style of interaction is happening there when you compare it to like a traditional office that you also know, obviously?
Yeah, that was the second tool I would have highlighted here. It's probably twofold, right? We coordinate with clients, and we need to coordinate with ourselves. Being a remote company doesn't really mean we never speak to our client. On the contrary, it means we speak more often. Just because we need to show communication, we need to show responsiveness, and we need to make sure that misunderstandings don't happen, right? So we use more tools than that, but I think that we can narrow it down to Slack, which is the chat, kind of like IRC used to be back in the day. So channels and interactions and mentions and this and that, and so all of our communications happen there, even with our clients. So with most of our clients, we set up a Slack channel where we invite them, and so we can have one-on-one communication and real-time communication through a chat, right? We enforce and we actually advocate for only communicating to public channels so that everyone can see it. And then we also try to speak only during office hours, right? Because working remotely doesn't mean that we're working around the clock. We operate during Spanish office hours, right? Try to coordinate if different time zones are there. If the client we've got a client in the Emirates, right, or some clients in the US. So we always try to overlap a couple hours. And the other tool is Basecamp, which is where we sort of consolidate some of the decisions, right? So if we need to report to the client, we need to send some documentation, we want to aggregate all the communications and have them in a single platform, we use Basecamp for that. If we need to decide on, hey, let's implement this over that, or let's change the scope of the project, it needs to be reflected on Basecamp. Otherwise, it didn't happen. Because Slack is too volatile. it's a chat. It's easy to things get lost there, whereas in Basecamp it's much more for, let's say, formal communication.
And how, when you recruit new people, do you like meet them in person, or do you like also do that online?
Never. As a matter of fact, we because I said our team is right now is scattered around Spain, right?
Yeah.
Our latest hire was from Seville, or is from Seville, and we met him first after 2 months.
Oh,
right?
really?
So
nice.
we hired him, and then after 2 months, because every 2 months we do a get together, and we bring everyone to Barcelona. So that we can have like a company day and workshops, and we update them, have a hands-on session with the founders and share strategy. And we also do some other, let's say, off-work activities. And so it's the first time you actually meet the team in person, right?
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It's very likely that if we hire you, then you will be working for a while before you actually meet us in person.
And how important are the physical meetings? Are they like something where we would say it's nice to have, but they're not necessary? Or would you say it's vital to have them in order to really have the team together?
I think it's necessary. As I said, being a remote company sounds really cool, but it does have a lot of challenges, right? Mm-hmm. Some of them being that it's easy to get distracted and to lose the focus. And one of the, let's say, perhaps hardest to overcome is the feeling of loneliness, if you want, right? Because you work isolated from your small town in the mountains, right? Because it's your decision, after all. And then you don't see these people every day, and probably you don't get to socialize with a lot of people outside of your significant one, or the people you're living with, and the people you interact with on a daily basis, but definitely not the people from your work, right? So when we meet, just because we never meet regularly, or we seldom meet regularly, when we meet, it really creates a drastic impact, right? So it really motivates the people. And the funny thing is, because we do have a lot of communication, and we do other activities, like we do online hackathons, and we've got like casual conversations on Slack. We've got even a music contest and a drawing challenge. And we do all sorts of activities to like dynamize the team and have them participating in different initiatives, right? And so, but whenever we meet every 2-3 months, something like that, we always have got the same feeling of time hasn't passed, right? Yeah. Feels like we were every day at the office. Yeah. It was really fun one really short thing, if you allow me, is this summer, one of our developers was, we all went on holidays, and we always try to have 1 or 2 people to stay over, so that there's always there's always somebody in the company, right? And we're not on holidays at the same time. So he said, I really felt like there was no one in the office. And we said, like, dude, we've got no office. They're like, well, yeah, but that means that throughout the year, he doesn't feel like that, and he felt especially, or he felt significantly lonely during that week where he was the only one working, or something like that. It's like, wow, it feels like it in a way it is a virtual office, right?
Nice. Well, that's so. I find the most amazing that you, on the one hand, highlight now this social component, because it's very interesting to see, like, okay, there's all this cool technology, digital stuff, and then you have this social component between the people, of course. And also, I really love that I interview you now, because I was like, before the interview, I was okay, so Àlex is doing really digital stuff. But I think for especially the older people looking at the video right now, it will be like, okay, it's a totally different world, like what he's living. And staying like with the people. So what would you say are the properties of the people living this kind of life, this very digital life, and also like working in your company? So I especially think about, this loneliness, you were talking about it already, but also like, is it a faster life, what do you say? So is it like a higher pace with what are the things happening, or would you say it's more flexible because you're like working at home, so you can also like take care of your kid or go out shopping during the day or something like that, because you're basically more free to work and you don't have to be in the office because there is no office?
There are a lot of misconceptions about working remotely. I really recommend reading one of our favorite books. It's called Remote, No Office Required. It's written by the guys who created Basecamp, right? They've got these amazing books, Rework and Remote, and they are basically the foundations of our company culture and the way we run our company. I would say we agree about with 95% of what they say in these books. And in remote and office required, they explain a lot of this misconception and how to solve them, right? So I would describe the people working at our company as, first of all, we only hire senior developers, right? Because it sounds a little bit shocking, but let's say it's very difficult in a 100% remote environment to be able to teach both the technical skills to a developer, to a junior developer, and the remote working skills, right? That's why by hiring senior developers, we can focus on people who already are capable of managing themselves, who are good at communication, who are good at handling the client and talking to clients, and obviously they have the technical expertise. So we can focus only on them learning the basics on how to work with us and our company culture so that they can hit the ground running, right? I wouldn't say it's a especially fast-paced world. It's just very focused, right? Because you need to be very responsible. You are also required to meet the deadlines that we've got. And even though we're not especially strict on this, we're not especially pushy because our company is a very, chill company, I would say. Because we want to focus on quality, and if we are to deliver high-end solutions and good and maintainable code, then we can only do it if the developers, our employees, work with the best conditions. That's why we give them the complete flexibility of working from wherever they want, whatever time they want, and using the tools they want. And most of the times they take most of the decisions in the project, right? Obviously agreed with the client or with our CTO, but definitely they have a lot to say. They're just not, they're not just monkeys typing, being told what to do and how to do it and what's best.
So it's like a lot of self responsibility. For that, you need like maturity also in the actions and the things you do.
Exactly, and a lot of accountability, right?
Yes.
So the decisions you take, so you're free to take a lot of decisions, but then you have to stand up for them.
That. Yeah.
Exactly, and so you need to be responsible because there's a lot of distractions. Working from home doesn't really mean that you can take care of your children every day, right?
Sure.
It just means that you might or you will be able to do it if an emergency arises or a week you need to do it or something like that. But if you're permanently putting things over, like in the scale of priorities, if you put things on top of your work, then you keep piling up all these things. Like, I'll play guitar from 10 a.m. to noon every day. Then I'll go pick up my children. I'll take care of my mother. And obviously somebody's got to do that. But that means that you're not really good at prioritizing, right? You can do it on a one-off moment or particular moments, but if you do it every day, probably you're getting it wrong.
Did you have that? Did you have that with some of your employees? Yeah, and so then you find out, and then you say, okay, it doesn't fit, and
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's one of the challenges,
cool.
and it's even though it looks difficult to spot. So one of the questions we get most often is, how do you know whether your employees are working? Well, because we speak a lot with them. So if they are not good at communicating, there's probably something wrong.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that because there's a lot of communication going on with all of our employees and inside the company, there are also even people who are getting it wrong, because we've had a couple of ex-employees in the past who probably had different priorities and they were just not delivering as they were expected to. They will be the ones communicating it, right? They will be the ones saying, if you see that somebody is like every day, every week, consistently and constantly saying, hey, now I'm out for 2 hours, then I need to take this break, then on Friday morning I will not be working, I will catch up on the weekend. And if it happens always, that person has got probably a prioritization problem, and that needs to be addressed. Sometimes we're able to correct it, and we have helped these people, and we have solved the situation. But in a couple of cases, it was not possible. It was just, it was just not the right fit for the company. And coincidentally, it happened that there were the least experienced developers, because they didn't have this discipline and this self-management that you acquire with years, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so as time is advancing, maybe let's come to the two questions regarding the challenges and like
Definitely.
chances that come with the digital transformation. So what would you say is the biggest challenge that comes with the digital transformation?
I think that most people, most companies are now willing to invest in it because some of these, it might be really hard for a company to find out that they are deprecated, that they are outdated, right? And their tools with whom they have been running the company or their projects or whatever for so many years, for 10, 15, 20 years, they need to be replaced, right? And that will come with a cost. And they did a great investment in the past. It probably took a lot of time for them to rewrite or the projects or to hire somebody to rebuild all these tools, and they just don't want to do it again, right? It's a lot of responsibility. What happens if it goes wrong? Big budget will change the company. Will definitely impact how you run the organization, for better or worse, right? I think the biggest challenge is to make people understand that businesses, as pretty much everything in life, need to evolve, right?
Yeah.
And everything has got a time, and we've seen some companies that they are running on top of systems they built in. For instance, one of the big multinationals we're talking to right now, they're running on software that was built in 1989, right? And the worst part is they haven't even changed the front end, right? Or the front end has been a little bit updated, which is surprising because then I don't know how these things still run on nowadays computers, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Cool.
I think this is one of the biggest challenges. Make people understand that this is not just a nice to have; it's probably something you need to do.
It's a must. Yeah. And okay, cool. Yeah, that's very interesting perspective. And talking about chances, so what is the biggest chance you see coming with the digital transformation?
One of them, I think there's a lot of them. By running, Starbrand and also this company, you get to see lots of trends and tendencies in the market, right? And so one of the things that I'm really fascinated about is how how tools can be interconnected nowadays. That it was not possible when we were not running SaaS, right? Tools like Zapier, for instance, that allow you to integrate your GitHub to Trello, and if this happens, then send an email to this client, and then publish or push a commit here, and then save something to Dropbox, and you can automate things at just one click, and for a fraction of the price that it used to be some years ago. And so definitely one of the biggest advantages, or one of the things I'm most excited about, is to see how this advances, because we have seen that the algorithms are every year they are increased significantly in performance and in speed, and then machine learning is also allowing us to go to unprecedented levels of image identification and things like that, or even in terms of cybersecurity, having unbreachable systems, things like blockchain coming over. So definitely there's a lot of things I'm really excited about. But the one that really affects me the most is how we are able to interconnect these things so rapidly and so efficiently, and just at a fraction of the cost that it was some years ago.
Cool. And now to the last question. So our motto is being human with algorithms. And so what does this slogan mean to you, like being a human in a world that is full of algorithms?
That's a very tricky question. Just because I think, because I am an engineer, right? And I tend to see the world as it's full of algorithms and things probably we don't perceive as such. But I think most of the things we have built in society are already algorithms, maybe not automated, but the way people perform some workflows, as in like predicting the weather, for instance, right? There's always been something like that, or even how the planets move around and how to predict the season changes and the calendar. So there's been always algorithms up there. They just change in the shape, and they have been improved, right? I think nowadays people are getting more and more acquainted and familiarized with the fact that technology is changing our lives. Whereas some generations ago, it was just for certain elite, right? So people working in the industry or politicians or technologists themselves. But nowadays, everybody is using applications like Uber, like Tinder, Deliveroo, whatever, that they're able to perceive that technology is able to, or even Amazon, right? They know that through technology, they're able to order something and have it in 24 hours in the door, or to order a cab and in 2 minutes the cab will be waiting downstairs, right? Whereas probably with the education or lack thereof of people from some generations ago, they wouldn't just understand how that worked. So in a way, by sort of realizing this global or shaping people this way in a global mindset and think and knowing and acknowledging that technology is the cause for this, that it will eventually bring many, many benefits for the generations to come.
Okay, wow. Wow, wonderful. So it's really a pity that you cannot make it next week on September 20 and 21st to our symposium, because it would have been really great having you there. And
I know.
I'm really lucky and happy that we did the interview, because it really brought some very, very nice perspective. So thank you very much for the interview, Alex, and all the best. And I hope we'll continue speaking soon again.
Yeah, definitely. It's been my pleasure, and whatever thing I can do to help further, just let me know. Cool. And good luck with the symposium.